Our story begins with a teenage girl named Jenny. From the smile on her face and her confident stride, you would never guess where she is going. Her classmates are perched on each door along the hallway. They cheer her on as if she's about to collect a prize or something. Actually, it's the opposite. She is headed to the principal's office because she's in trouble. Earlier that day, Jenny had a messy encounter with a group of bullies who are famous for picking on the weaker students all the time. These guys are used to the occasional hero standing up against them, but this time it was a different story. They were totally unprepared for Jenny's karate skills. We can tell how the rest of the incident went down by their bandages. While the kids are happy to see the villains get what they deserve, the principal is not too impressed at such vigilant behavior. Jenny gets a suspension. The bullies prepare an ambush for her outside the school, but they are still too sore to fight. And when they actually see her, their pride is instantly replaced by sheer terror. They decide not to mess with her again, but remind her of a promise she made earlier. She is never to return to this school again. Now we meet Jenny's father, the black belt himself. He is the proud owner of a training center where kids practice karate. At the admissions office, a teacher says that her application was accepted and she can join the class right after the midterms, which is 1 week later. Then they move on to a delicate topic. The teacher tells them about the high school gangs. Formed by the worst kind of bullies, these groups always try to recruit newcomers, taking advantage of their initial lack of friends. Jenny's father guarantees that she would never join a gang like that. She is not a bully at all, but she does get in trouble from time to time for the opposite reason. After they leave, Jenny gets angry at her dad. There was no reason for him to narc on her like that. Now that teacher already expects her to raise hell, so she'll probably follow her every move. Her dad says she's right. That was the plan all along. Tired to see her in danger all the time, he thinks it's great if the teacher really keeps an eye on her. Besides, that school kind of sounds like no man's land, and it must be full of bullies. That means she must improve her self-control very fast. Those prophetic words come true a few minutes later, just outside the school grounds. A handful of high school bullies are beating someone. The dude in distress is Alex. He didn't let them copy his answers to cheat on the test this morning, and they didn't take it very well. Committed to becoming more civilized, Jenny decides to address the situation with a camera. She begins to record the display of cowardice, but her amateur journalism is quickly discovered. With a deep breath, she tells these jerks that she'll go to the principal right now and report their behavior. However, the male bullies are not alone. A group of girls is with them, ready to deal with any female opponent, so that the boys avoid getting canceled on top of being suspended. These girls surround Jenny in a menacing way, and it's all just too much of a temptation for her inner warrior. She's done with the ladies so fast that the boys have no time to run. No problem. As far as she's concerned, there is room in the infirmary for everybody. Alex is mesmerized by her movements and her fierce attitude. He's still thinking about that 1 week later when the teacher introduces Jenny to the class. The thugs are all there too, and they struggle to hide their embarrassment, afraid that everyone finds out they got beaten by a girl. Alex, however, struggles with something very different. He tries to talk to his muse but gets the cold shoulder. Even when he thanks her for the other day, she firmly replies that he can repay that kindness by leaving her alone. Later that day, Alex is at his mom's restaurant when a customer begins to act up. Clearly drunk, the man refuses to pay for the meal he just had. Alex's mom tries to argue, but the man pushes her violently. The boy tries to defend her but gets beaten up by the drunk guy, who ends up leaving without paying. Alex is very upset about what happened, and it's not the first time. People like this began to show up at the restaurant shortly after his dad passed away. They know the establishment is run by a frail lady who can't fight back, so they keep taking advantage of her. The boy is deeply ashamed of his inability to help her. On the next day, Jenny has another unpleasant encounter. A girl named Shannon blocks her way all of a sudden, demanding her phone. She is friends with those bullies who were beating Alex last week, and she wants to delete the video. Jenny's refusal makes the girl impatient and aggressive, but that doesn't work in her favor. The moment it gets physical, Shannon is quickly demolished in front of everyone. After school, Alex gathers all his courage for a second attempt to talk to Jenny. This time, he makes it clear that he's not after her affection. He wants her to teach him how to fight. She's about to burst into laughter, but then he explains the situation with his mother's restaurant. That kind of injustice makes her blood boil. She agrees to hear him out. When he's done, she takes him straight to her dad. Alex enrolls in his academy, and Jenny even gets a commission for bringing someone in. Meanwhile, the school principal is talking to a student named Ron. He is praising the boy for his untarnished reputation. It's hard to achieve that as president of the student council in a school with such unruly kids. But the principal doesn't know the truth. Ron is the mastermind behind all those bullies. Those guys are just muscle, hustling to enforce Ron's kingdom of terror. But as a senior student, it's time for him to think of the future. He plans to join an actual gang soon. He discusses the idea with Harry, his best friend. Harry doesn't like it at all. The two boys are close because they used to be the weaker ones a long time ago. Fighting became their way to stand up for themselves. But while Harry sees it as a survival tool, Ron is a greedy kid by nature. He realized that he could do more than avoid bullies. He could become one himself. Unhappy with the way Ron treats the weaker students, Harry complains about it very often. Their differences are beginning to destroy the friendship. On top of all that, people tend to respect Harry much more, despite Ron's position. And that makes him jealous. To make things worse, there's also Shannon in the middle. Ron has a secret crush on her, but she clearly prefers Harry. Right now, she is upset about her failed attack on Jenny. She wants revenge for the humiliation, and the boys agree to help her. In the afternoon, Alex arrives at the academy. The training is way harder than he expected. Jenny and her father are a wild pair of instructors, pushing the boy to his limits with no mercy. The next morning, Alex feels like he's been run over by a truck. With a heavy pat on his back, Jenny mocks her friend and says it will get worse with time. During recess, Jenny is summoned to the student council room. Ron and Harry are waiting for her. When Shannon joins them, Jenny realizes what this is about. Ron begins to interrogate her. He asks why she pushed Shannon before, and she doesn't bat an eyelid before answering that it was in self-defense. Before the next question, she also tells them about what happened to Alex during the midterms and how Shannon is trying to protect the thugs who did that. Both Ron and Shannon are enraged by her defiant attitude, but not Harry. Such audacity fascinates Harry, especially because she's up against the most dangerous kids in the school, but shows zero signs of fear. Ron gets even angrier to see his friend almost taking the girl's side. Back to Alex's training. He asks Jenny why she was so rude to him at first, and if it has anything to do with the fact that she has no friends. She says it does. Letting people into your life is to give them the greatest power of all, the power to leave. Alex has a completely different point of view. He says that even when someone abandons you, the memories are still worth it. For the first time, Jenny seems to be touched by the boy's wisdom, but she is still too proud to let him notice. That evening, Ron and Harry go out for some drinks with Shannon. It's a welcome party to one of the guys who got suspended. The tension between the two friends is getting worse now. Harry is uneasy with the conversation and how lightly they talk about violent behavior. Ron, in turn, is more jealous than ever, noticing how Shannon only has eyes for Harry. As soon as the two boys are alone, they begin to fight about Ron joining the gang. He says the leader is ready to accept him. There's a mandatory fee for newbies, and getting that money is the only thing left to do now. Harry has a pretty good idea of his means to raise money. The gang leader comes to the school the next day. His name is Chae, and he wants to see Ron. Unlike Ron's minions, who are just schoolboys playing baddies, Chae is an actual gangster. All the bravery leaves Ron's body at once. He begins to vomit a bunch of meaningless promises about the fee, but Tae is not even listening anymore. Just like Shannon, the gangster only cares about Harry. He wants him to join the gang instead of Ron, even offering to cover the entrance fee for him. Tae might be a thug, but he knows potential when he sees it. Ron is nothing but a spoiled brat, while Harry has the heart of a true fighter. Of course, that makes Ron more bitter than ever. He wants to take it out on a random victim, and Alex is the lucky chosen. Two of his minions go fetch the boy, but Harry stops them. He says they are free to question Ron's orders. The other minions are outraged at such disrespect and begin to beat Harry up. There's a huge commotion around them, but only until Jenny arrives to get Alex. She is willing to pretend that nothing else is happening, but Ron's minions are unable to understand their luck. They try to prevent her from leaving with Alex. This time, the whole school is watching while our girl turns those bullies inside out. Harry is more impressed than ever. Later on, he asks Alex where they were going and finds out about her dad's center. He goes there and enrolls right away. Jenny is not convinced that he has good intentions. He was one of the bullies until yesterday, and this could be just a trick. Harry tells them the truth. He is a bully, but he wants to change. And Ron's group is not so easy to leave. He needs to be prepared to defend himself. A few days later, Shannon finds an excuse to pick on Jenny. She gets very distressed when Harry shows up and forces her to cut it out. Talking to him privately, she confesses her feelings for him. He apologizes for ignoring her calls lately, but makes it clear that he likes her as a friend. At the academy, Jenny decides it's time to test the former bully and see how far he's willing to go. She challenges him to a boxing match because he told her that he was a great boxer. He begins the fight by trying to intimidate her but fails spectacularly. Once again, she wins the fight without even messing up her hair. Meanwhile, Ron is getting some scary calls from Tae. Having failed to recruit Harry, he decided to accept him. So now he wants the money, but Ron doesn't have it yet. Just as Harry predicted, he resorts to the good old bullying to solve his problem. All of his minions in the entire school are mobilized at once. They have orders to shake down everything breathing organism in a school uniform until the target amount is reached. Watching that horror show, Alex can tell something is more wrong than usual. Empowered by his training, he steps in to defend his classmates. Sadly though, he's only one and still has a long way to go. So the bullies beat him up once again. Frustrated and disheartened, the boy talks to Jenny's dad and tells him what happened. The instructor takes pity on his pupil and they begin some extra training to make sure that he'll be prepared next time. Now the three kids are beginning to bond over their shared interest in martial arts. When Jenny's dad takes a short work trip, they decide to take the day off and hit the mall. After watching a movie and playing arcade games, Harry says he'll take them to his favorite place ever. It turns out it's Alex's mother restaurant. The poor woman is over the moon to find out that his friends actually exist outside his head this time. Now Jenny is more open to Harry's story. He tells her that his boxing instructor was a horrible man who used to beat innocent kids, using the sport as an excuse. The guy was actually just taking it out on his own students, and it took Harry a long time to realize that, and then walk away. He has never told anyone about it because he was ashamed of having put up with the abuse for so long. Jenny finally believes that he is sincere and really wants to change. At school, Harry confronts Ron about the general mayhem all over the school. He says he can chill because it's over now. He has paid Tae's money in full, becoming a member of his gang. There is also a small detail that they forgot to mention. Part of the deal is that the gang will be ruling the school as well. The new arrangement starts tomorrow. Harry is outraged to hear that, and a nasty fight begins. Ron tells him to back off, or he'll hurt Jenny, as he so obviously has a crush on her. Harry hopes it's just tough talk, but Ron is serious. He talks to Shannon and asks for her help. They come up with a plan to capture Jenny without ending in the hospital. Shannon texts her, asking her to come to the student council room. Pretending to talk about something else, Shannon offers her some tea. But right when Jenny is about to drink it, she slaps it off her hand, smashing the mug. Ron had told her to drug Jenny, but she couldn't do that. And now she also thinks he is going too far. Eavesdropping all along, the little tyrant is shocked at the disobedience and slaps Shannon on the face. So much for that crush. Then, one of the minions has Jenny in a headlock, and she can't breathe. Ron calls his former best friend to lure him there with her cries. Alex decides to go with him. Together, they defeat dozens of minions before getting to Ron. But when Harry sees Jenny is tied up, he fears for her life and backs off. Ron begins to beat him up until Alex uses one of the techniques that he learned to save his new friend. Too distracted fighting the boys, Ron doesn't see that Jenny is free again. He doesn't stand a chance now. Weeks later, Harry and Alex become part of the team at the academy. Several kids from their school are enrolling, ready to fight back when they have to. And this is the end. This was a recap of the 2020 movie Justice Hyde by Nos Entertainment, starring Jung Da-yeon and Jung In-ta. So which of these teenagers is the most likable? What part of the story would you change if you could? Let us know in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. Until next time.